This is Geometry Chapter 3, Section 4, in which we will be writing equations of lines. There are a lot of different equations of lines. Two of them are the most useful to us, and those are the two we're going to focus on today. The first one you're already familiar with. It's called the slope-intercept form. If you know the slope is m and you know the intercept is b, then the slope-intercept form is your favorite one, y equals mx plus b. That's the one most of you are comfortable with. You've dealt with it several times before, so that one's not one that's going to trouble you too much. Now compare that with this other form that we're going to use. This time we're given just some point. Before it was the y-intercept. Now it's just any random point on the line. It does not have to be the intercept. When we're in that position, we use what we call point-slope form. And it's named that because you have a point and you have a slope. Point-slope form looks like this. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Most of the time, I'm going to start in point-slope form. If they need me to go to slope-intercept form, that's easy enough to do. I just need to distribute the slope in and then bring the y1 over to get y by itself. So going from point-slope back to slope-intercept isn't that hard. So I will normally start with point-slope form. That's the one I like the best. Again, your mileage may vary. You may like the other ones better. That's okay. You don't have to like everything I like. So they're going to ask us to write a few equations of lines. And what form you use is dictated by what information you have. Okay. Notice they didn't specify what form they want the final answer in. It just says write the equation. If they don't tell you a final answer form, you can use either one. If they tell you that you have to use a certain form, then you have to. But if it doesn't say, then it's strictly left up to you which way you want to go. So in our first one here, we have a slope of 4 and a y-intercept of 3. Since I have the slope and the intercept, I'm just going to use slope-intercept form. Y equals 4x plus 3. 4 for where the slope goes, 3 for the intercept. Again, I picked slope-intercept form this time because I had the slope and I had the intercept. In our next problem, we're not so fortunate. We have a slope, but we don't have the intercept. We have just some point on the line. Well, if I'm in a point and a slope, then I'm going to go to point-slope form. Y minus 5, because that's the y number in the point, equals the slope 2 times x minus the x number from the point. Now, since they didn't specify that I have to go further, I can stop right here. If you really like slope-intercept form and you want to get there, distribute the 2, add the 5, you would end up with y equals 2x minus 1 would be your final point, your final equation. That's if you wanted to continue and go further. If they don't tell you to, you don't have to. Consider our third problem here. They gave me 2 points. Well, we said on the previous page to be able to do one of these kinds of deals where we write the equation, we need 2 things. We need a point and we need a slope. Well, points I got. Slopes I'm fresh out of. But we know how to calculate one. We've studied that. So let's find the slope of this line using the slope formula that we learned last time. 10 minus 4 over 8 minus negative 2 gives us 6 over 10, which reduces to 3/5. Now we have a slope, and we have our choice of 2 points. We can pick either one. I picked the second one. There's no rhyme or reason why I picked the second one. I just did. So y minus 10 equals 3/5 times x minus 8. We could just as easily have y minus 4 equals 3/5 times x plus 2, because the subtract and negative is add 2. So we could have y minus 4 equals 3/5 times x plus 2. Both answers are correct. If you distributed and then moved things over, you would get to the same slope-intercept form. So I would have both answers as possibilities there. I'm going to give you a chance here to pause and take a shot at this one, see how it turns out. It's kind of like the last problem. It's just like the last problem we just did. So pause here and see what you can come up with. Come back, check your answer. Hopefully you calculated your slope first, and you found out by plugging into the slope formula that the slope is -1/2. And then we'll plug into the point slope, y minus -4, so y plus 4 equals the slope -1/2 times x minus 9. We could also have y minus 4 equals -1/2 times x plus 7. That would also be correct. Now, we previously talked about parallel lines and how their slopes are related. Remember, we said when lines are parallel, that means they have the same slope. So we know the slope of this line is -3/4. That means the slope of the line we're interested in is also -3/4. We have a slope, we have a point, we have everything we need. Y minus the y value of the point equals the slope times x minus the x value. Now this x plus 3 comes from x minus -3. It has absolutely nothing to do with this 3 over here in the original problem. It's a fluke. It won't happen very often that will match that. So please don't think that it always will, because it won't. I promise you. The overwhelming majority of the time it won't match up. We also talked in our last lesson about how the slopes of perpendicular lines are related. If you remember, perpendicular lines have opposite reciprocal slopes. So this slope is -3. That means the slope of the line I want is positive 1/3. Opposite of this is 3, and then the reciprocal makes it 1/3. Now I have a slope and I have a point. I can plug right into point slope form. Y minus 0 equals 1/3 times x minus 4. Notice this time this didn't match this. Like I said before, it's very rarely going to match. It was just a fluke in the last problem. One more special case to talk about is the case where the lines are horizontal or vertical. When you have a horizontal line, it's going to be y equals some number, whatever number y is equal to in the problem. When it's a vertical line, your equation is x equals some number. It's whatever number x was equal to in the problem. And I'll show you what that means here. We have a horizontal line going through the point 2, 4. Horizontal tells me it's y equals a number. What does y equal in this problem? Y equals 4. So the equation is y equals 4. Vertical line through the point -2, -3. We know what it means to be a vertical line. It means we're going to have x equals a number. What number does x equal in this problem? X equals -2, so that's our equation, x equals -2. Okay. So we've gone through a few things. We've gone through slope-intercept form, point-slope form. We made use of the slope formula to be able to calculate a slope if all they gave us is 2 points. We did parallel and perpendicular to refresh your memory on those. And we talked about horizontal and vertical lines. So quite a few pieces of information, but really I think all of it is stuff you've done before back in Algebra 1. As always, if you had questions along the way, I hope you wrote those down, bring them in with you, and we will see you in class.